Welcome to episode 29 of Hollywood Unapologetic. My name is Orlando Delbert. My filmmaking friends have made fun of me for working in television for so many years instead of being more dedicated to film. I would often respond, yes, but at least I'm not broke and borrowing money from you. I planned on being one of the top contributors in the visual communications arena, and I have. I've beaten the 10-year formula by years, and I've been very fortunate with the achievements I've accomplished. I am an exception to what most people consider the rule in this town. My success has been largely in television. While I was in school, I identified that perceived stability exists more in the television world than it does in the film world. You can work steadily with television, in some cases year-round, with health benefits and contributions into your 401k. Unless you are part of a production company creating films with a steady stream of projects, or you're part of a crew that works with one director that has films lined up for years, chances are you'll be a waiter and hoping to be discovered or just to get your big break. This also holds true if you want to be in front of the camera. You need to keep an open mind and be flexible no matter what. If you want to direct, go shoot something on your days off. If you're an actor, get involved with a theater company and get on that stage. No matter what, just keep going. My mother gave me the best advice anyone could have given me. She said, Orlando, do what you have to pay the bills, but do what you need to for yourself. This is coming from a woman who was a pioneering woman in television, had performed on stage all over the world, and was a huge success in her day. I share this with you because I know some of you hearing this will take it to heart and learn how to succeed. True success is not about money you make, the car you drive, or the clothes you wear. True success is having the satisfaction of having the quality of life you deserve and living on your terms. You've already on your way if you understand the difference. Money can be one hell of a prison as well. Sure, we all want it, strive to make it, but it comes with some serious trappings that can change your life forever. Most people think $1 million is a lot of money, and for those who've never been around that kind of money, that's true. The reality, when you live in a city like Los Angeles and are caught up in the lifestyle of being the cool kid on the block, it ends up being a pricey proposition. Those $1 million don't last long. I lived in a friend's house for several months while he was in Miami. I had 7 bedrooms, 2 living rooms, Italian marble, a winding staircase, and an island in the kitchen that was bigger than my Mercedes. One of the chandeliers was just ridiculous. The view from the property made me feel as if I was overlooking Venice, Italy. Sounds beautiful, doesn't it? Many ways, but it came with some unexpected evils. I invited 6 ladies over just to hang out one night. It wasn't meant to be a party, just wanted to see some friends. 3 showed up and all was well. One by one, they walked in and were completely taken by this house. We didn't want a lot of clutter, so the place had a lot of open space. It was truly a beautiful property. As the night progressed, I saw changes in 2 of my 3 friends. One of them began showing a side of herself that I've never seen before. Up until then, I considered herself a lady. She turned out to be pretty ghetto and wrote me off in the end because she felt I served her no purpose to her success. The second one kept whispering in my ears to go upstairs and even offered fellatio when I walked her to her car. The nature of the advances really just turned me off. I passed on both offers, and she also disassociated herself with me. The third one remained who she is and very much a lady. I am proud to say that we are still friends today. I have to add that she is a successful musician who has performed all around the world and is very well grounded. She is a true superstar. To her and to me, it's just a big house. This is an example of how the perception of money can change the way people see you. More times than not, so-called friends and family members you never even heard of come out of the woodwork and want to be your best friend all of a sudden. When you're on your way to being nouveau riche, the leeches often begin to grab on. Surprisingly, you might not even see them coming. They'll take and take and take until your money runs out and they vanish like the sun. Believe it. One of the hardest parts of identifying these individuals is that their motives are not always clear. As I've mentioned earlier, you have to rely on your others to be your support base unless you've arrived with your brothers and sisters in a trunk full of money. I was at a coffee shop one morning with a friend who is a legend in the music community. He has a long history of working with top talent from all over the world. We were sitting there discussing God, life, and the pursuit of happiness. A very well-dressed man walked up. His suit really stood out. It must have been a Gucci, a Newman, or even an Yves Saint Laurent. He looked really familiar to me, but I couldn't just place the face. Both men recognized one another and he joined us. After more conversation, coffee, and a very expensive cigar, the talk to money. He told me the following story. When I made my first million, I wanted to do the right thing. I wanted to help out all of my family and friends. People were coming out of the woodwork. I gave it all away. The second time I made that million, I was a little more frugal. Still wanted to help out my family and friends, but I was more careful to whom I gave my money. I made some bad investments in friends' ideas and lost it all. Now I live in a condo with my 3 sons, and I'm starting all over again, and I'll tell you, I'm going to make it all again. Much to my surprise, he left in an older Jeep Grand Cherokee. His suit was worth a lot more than his car. Time went by and I saw him on television. It turned out he was an attorney with a very high-profile client base. I learned a lot during that conversation, and ever since that sun-filled day, this has become a recurring conversation with my friends who have acquired wealth through their own generation. But here's the thing. You don't have to be a millionaire to fall victim to this scenario. As long as you're perceived as someone with his or her life together and have some kind of comfort in your lifestyle, you are at risk. One of my former neighbors owned a film studio. He was a big part of the Hollywood history and one of the most down-to-earth people you will ever meet. Deep down, he was very much a New Yorker and didn't take crap from anyone. He disliked the Hollywood system and at times paid the price for not wanting to play ball. His studio has won countless awards, including an Academy Award he didn't accept because of the politics surrounding that world. He told me countless stories about living a lifestyle in the big homes and the country clubs. He even showed me some of the places where he had lived, including a house next to Toluca Lake and the lakeside golf course neighboring Bob Hope. He also shared some of the trappings that came along with it. They are very similar to stories of whatever you've heard here, which solidified me being mindful about my definition of success. I can't stress enough to be careful of your alliances. When you make some money, put it away and don't tell anyone you have it. It's very easy to start spending it around and buying toys you've always wanted. It's your money. It's there for the spending. But just remember, when people come out of nowhere with their hands up, they have no regard for how hard you have worked for it. The time, effort, and tears spent to make your success never enter their minds. All they know is their self-imposed right to what's yours. This isn't at all unique to those in the television or motion picture world either. When I was a studio musician in New York, I became friends with many fellow musicians over the years. Everyone knew everyone, so I would run into someone no matter where I went. For several years, I saw many of my friends become celebrities. They would sell lots of albums, go out on tour, and live the rock star lifestyle. There was a huge price to pay for many of them. One by one, I would see many friends coming off a world tour, happy, laid, with a pocket full of cash. They knew that at most record deals, they would be paid a lump sum of cash before being put on the record studio, paid by the label they were signed to, and they were sent out on the road. They would have to make money on the tour selling shirts and merchandising because most deals with these labels meant giving up licensing rights. When they returned, several of them bought a lot of toys and maybe nice homes. Then many of them began to lose sight of where they stood in the world. Some lost all of their money, giving it all away like I mentioned earlier. Others overextended themselves, buying homes, cars they just couldn't afford. When you have $10 million in the bank or more, it's much easier to get a credit line in a neighborhood of $100 million. And that's how many of them became overextended. That is why you'll hear or read from the entertainment news magazines of celebrities selling their homes just a few years after their big hit. In some other cases, they became hooked on drugs trying to keep the rush of being on stage in front of tens of thousands of people every night alive. The hardest part of all of this was that large majorities of the support group that they had in the early days of becoming successful just vanished. This is very common and can happen to anyone who becomes successful if they are not very careful. It's something I have seen and heard over and over again, and it's happened to me personally. Today, many of them struggle to get by and hold manual labor type jobs because they never had any kind of education or training in a craft. Some died from their addictions or caught HIV. I know a few that live at home with their parents because they just can't assimilate back into society. The lesson here is simple. Learn what you can about the business side of your craft. Be mindful of your personal and professional relationships. Keep your eye out for someone who may be willing to be your mentor. Sock that money away and keep it to yourself. I know far too many individuals that have struggled to get back on their feet after losing it all. In most cases, you'll have a very short window of opportunity if you're on the creative side of the entertainment industry. Hollywood likes to hire success. If things go wrong, it's in your best interest not to let anyone know for fear of being labeled difficult or for being viewed as being desperate. Be smart, make a plan, and stick to it. Becoming a statistic is easier than you know. I know this all too well. I had a myocardial infarction and stroke years ago during a meeting. I'm not allowed to discuss any of the details of fear of being sued, but I can say that it had left me permanently disabled. Within 12 hours of me being carted out on a stretcher in the emergency room, I was blacklisted. From the over 2,100 contacts I had on my phone, most of which were business associates from all over the world, My phone stopped ringing altogether. This is inside of 12 hours. From what I've been told from friends that are still on the show that I was working on, or have since left, my existence there was considered non-existent, or how it's been put to me several times, I've been disappeared. I lost everything I owned and ended up homeless. During that time, more than 36 longtime friends attacked me verbally and some physically because I was no longer of any service to them. Another 120 or so just walked away without saying a word. And have I ever mentioned this is a fickle industry? I couldn't afford payment to my Mercedes and ended up sleeping in the car of my friend's mother who passed away years before for much longer than I care to admit. Ever slept in a car for months at a time? It really sucks, especially in the warm months, which in LA is most of the time. It takes a toll on your back and your dignity. I found places to park that were off the street in the dark, to be left alone, and to remain safe. Plus, it's illegal to sleep in your car in LA and Ventura counties. My health deteriorated. I lost weight. Now, I wasn't able to get most of the medical care I needed because my medical insurance ran out. It became so bad that I needed a cane to walk everywhere in excruciating pain. A doctor thought I had lymphoma, so that added to everything. The stroke left me with encephalomalacia, which is a loss of brain tissue. Fortunately, the blindness in one eye was temporary, but my decision-making center and other areas were greatly affected. My cognitive functioning and memory has been the most obviously affected, with more than half my life just wiped out. I often have difficulty speaking and get confused easily. Add a nasty side order of depression and other life and health factors I prefer to keep private contributed to me being knocked on my ass, much like being struck in the chest with a 20-pound sledgehammer. Saying that last line reminded me of a story. I dated a police psychologist years ago that specialized in law enforcement-related situations and crises. Her job was, in part, to assess people that may put themselves or others at risk. They also responded with LAPD's Special Weapons and Tactics team for hostage negotiations and barricaded suspect situations. One night, she and her partner were sent to one of the five-star hotels in Beverly Hills. At the time, a famous actress from Hollywood's golden age was staying there. The hotel manager noticed that this woman's entourage were spending tens of thousands of dollars a day. He was concerned and called the police. When the police arrived, the woman's entourage vanished into thin air as if they were never there to begin with. The manager showed up moments later. The hotel manager pulled him aside and explained that these people were bleeding money from this woman. They were able to sit down with her and found her to be intelligent and quite lucid. At one point, she told them she was very much aware of what they were doing. She had no friends and no one in her life. Everyone she knew had either died or left her years earlier. In a way, she was paying to have these people around her just so she wouldn't be alone. My friend Nora was a stage and film actress who has performed in several very successful shows on Broadway. She has told me about a different famous actress, also from Hollywood's golden age, she had met one day pushing a shopping cart while living in New York. She recognized this woman, and they began a friendship with one another. Tragically, the woman has since passed away, but had a very similar story to what I've already mentioned here. She lost everything and everyone in her life and lived on the street. Right now, my friend is working on a film of this woman's story. The stories of these two individuals sadden me deeply every time I think about it. They were both very successful and did very well for themselves, but still fell into the trap. I know it's easier said than done to weed through the false friends one will make in this business, but every one of us has to make an honest effort to be realistic about the choices presented to us in order to be able to truly succeed. Success is measured not by money, but by living the life you want to live. Money helps ensure a certain level of comfort, but by no means buys happiness. In fact, the exact opposite can occur, and it is quite easy to overextend yourself. At the same time, be good to those who have always been there, your true friends and lifelong friends. Before wrapping up this episode, I'd like to mention I planned on sharing the stories of 3 other successes within the entertainment industry that ended up homeless as well, but decided not to. The details on how they ended up there are a little different, but their experiences during that time are largely the same. Each lost their homes and their possessions and moved into a downgraded car. They each exhausted their savings but were not eligible for public assistance because their earnings were too high for the previous 3 years. Although getting an inexpensive gym membership helped give them a place to shower daily, way to stay active and have some kind of routine, there was still a hit to their physical and psychological strength and healthy lifestyles. They felt like outsiders of not just the entertainment industry they made their fortunes in, but of society itself. 2 of the 3 have been able to find their way back into the industry after years of not giving up. The third has had the most difficulty, but has continued his momentum forward. And that is the point. They were willing to take the risk of losing everything and went for it. They are the true definition of entrepreneurs. Regardless of the people that pushed them out, when things slowed down, they continued to push forward and they stayed hungry. The one that has had it the hardest told me something that I'd like to share with you. You never truly are successful if you have never lost everything at least once. If you have, that means you had what it takes to remove all doubt and go after something you sincerely believe in. The life experiences and lessons learned through that process can give you the tools and the strength you could not get otherwise. With very few exceptions, those who have been successful on their own terms and entirely self-made know what it is to lose. But losing is not failing, not at all. Losing forces you to reassess for your next charge forward, no matter what. Failing is not making an effort to continue forward. I have to agree. Follow your dream, be true to that dream, and nurture it to make it grow. Plan for a realistic future your success can bring. Life is what happens on the way to achieving your dreams. And always remember that. You can be that success, and when you achieve it, remember it is your success brought to you by your own hard work. No one else is entitled to it. The world is greatly influenced by what is seen on the screen and heard on the radio. Let's be the new Hollywood generation. Let's give them something that will drive everyone to do something bigger and make a positive difference in this world. Something I'd like to leave you with. You're all in it together. Each and every one of you is an important part of our future. You're important to the lives of those who surround you. You're important to your communities. You're important to our industry. No matter what, remain optimistic and focused on your goal. Never stop believing in yourself. Always remember, you are the key to your own success. Take a breath, move forward. Together, let's create a revival, the resurgence of Hollywood, and bring back the auteur to cinema. Be an active part of the new Hollywood generation. You are a representative of the new Hollywood generation. Please subscribe to our channel and share. Don't forget to check out our other videos in the series and follow the link below to check out our swag. You are a representative of the new Hollywood generation. Join Hollywood Unapologetic in our quest to positively empower one another, to empower our industry as we speak openly to industry professionals about the true pursuit of our Hollywood dreams and in life. Hollywood Unapologetic is a continuation of the Pollyanna's Tear-Soaked Battlefields of Hollywood, a survival guide against the cynicism and the hypocritical series of books designed to help you better prepare for success. It is now our time to strive to be a better version of ourselves and to be inclusive of one another. We, as a community, can grow together and be the change our industry needs. We can find unity together and be the change our future needs. We are the new Hollywood generation. Welcome to Hollywood Unapologetic.